Well, what I'd heard that they somehow wanted to tie spending to 2022 levels, and the problem that we have with that is defense spending. While we are facing probably the greatest challenge of any adversary, which is China, and they're continuing to ramp up their military, we can't afford to start ramping down our military. And while I agree with the Representative Good about wasteful spending in the military, and we need to crack down on that, our state of readiness needs to be elevated, not degraded by some kind of a artificial cap on what we can spend. Our security is everything, and so that needs to be the driving force. What exactly it is that we need to spend in order to keep America safe.
So when your colleague Jim Jordan, pretty conservative fellow, says Republicans should be open to cutting military spending, in other words, everything should be on the table, you say?
I say, oh yeah, I mean, look, if it can be proven that it's wasteful military spending, absolutely. But we have to get America ready to face our greatest adversary, which is China, and that is not going to come cheaply. So again, my statement is we need to spend what we need to spend in order to keep America safe. If there is wasteful spending in the military, absolutely cut it. I'll be the first one there voting to cut wasteful military spending, but we need to spend what we need to spend.
So back to this spending and on the debt ceiling issue, sir. Your prior colleague, Bob Good, was saying shutting down the government should be an option. It should be out there. It should be well known that it's out there. And while not advisable in the eyes of some of your colleagues, he says it's an out that should be considered. Do you agree with that?
I think it should be considered as something of last resort. I don't think it should be something that's out there. It's one of the first things that we're going to do. That's why, I believe that there should be, along with any passage of any appropriations bill to come out of the House, there should be a continuing resolution to keep the government working. And that continuing resolution, by the way, it goes back to the previous year's budget, so that in effect is a cut. But a lot of people depend on a lot of government services.
Yeah,
and so
I didn't hear him say anything
never
about a continuing resolution. I'm just trying to clarify, if you can indulge me here, Congressman, because I think what some are getting the impression, I might be wrong, is that now it's sort of like a nuclear option that is routinely discussed among your colleagues, that if you don't get your way on spending, you'll attach it to the debt ceiling issue, and you will be very open to shutting the government down. That's how it's been interpreted by some of your, I guess they'd call them the Gang of 20 right now. You're not in that gang, but what do you think?
No. What I think is that, look, all options should be on the table, but that should not be the thing that you resort to first, that we're going to shut the government down. That's the last thing we need to do. Yes, we need to bring our debt down, without a doubt. One of the reasons I ran was for my children and my grandchildren. We put them in a tremendous amount of debt. We're robbing their future with the debt that we've accumulated, and we do need to bring our government under control, our budget under control, and our debt. We need to reduce our debt. But there are things that we have to do as a government, and that should be the baseline. What are the things we actually have to do as a government? Those things we don't have to do, maybe we should be out of that business.
All right, so voting on these measures and concessions that the Speaker made, if any one of them were to run into a buzzsaw criticism or rejected, do you think some of your members will take that out on Speaker McCarthy?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
If any of this fails, in other words, some of the promises that were made, it can't be approved. In other words, it's just simply voted down. Would that boomerang on Mr. McCarthy?
I mean, by the folks that didn't support him in the first place, you need to ask them. I mean, look, I was a big supporter of Kevin McCarthy. I think that he can bring this conference together. We have differences inside this conference, but I don't think they're any bigger than the differences there were in the Democrat Party. So Kevin now, as a speaker, needs to get us together. We agree on 95% of the issues. That 5% is going to be problematic, but we need to come together as a conference and show America that we can lead.
Got it. All right, Congressman, thank you very, very much. Again, a good read of things.